even me as a Stevie head, I didn't get into plants until maybe the 90s, to be honest. I don't think I heard it before like 95.
Right. Um, I remember seeing that album in my neighborhood record store in Crown Heights in 79 and not being too excited to get it.
Mm.
And when I finally did get it, it had to be in the late 80s. And it was quite experimental to me. Um, I definitely grew to appreciate that record a lot more as I got older, um, especially from the production standpoint, because he was always ahead of technology. Like they always gave him, he was always on top of the latest synthesizers and recording techniques. And I learned that that album is actually, he was the first one to use a sampler. So when you listen to what is it, la 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 la, outside my window, and
Outside my window.
you hear that little squishy thing on the, it goes, that's a sample.
No kidding.
That's a sample. And he, you know, and he also has Race Babbling on that album, which to
Ooh.
me is kind of like a proto techno Euro dance record all day. Like there's no refuting that. There's no, you know, it's a electronic dance floor record. So within him composing this film, he was able to explore different realms of different genres. You know, he has classical on there. He has electronic music on there. He has the typical love ballad with Send Me Your Love, Someone Your Love, which is amazing. It's an amazing album. It's actually, um, it could be one of his best if people were open-minded to think of it in that way, because it's so different. And to me, that album is like Common's Electric Circus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the album that you take chances on to try some different things. It's not your, you know, it doesn't fit the typical mold that everyone would know you for. But when you really get into it, it's an amazing record
Wow.
from beginning to end.
I mean, so many things I never thought about until you just said it. First of all, I did not know that that was a sample on that record. And, you know, to also, I think this is a good moment to pause and just really give a shout out to Malcolm Cecil, who I didn't know had passed away until you told me, I think a week ago.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, do you want to just give a quick overview of who he was in as far as the Stevie Wonder machine, you know, creative machine?
Well, in 1970, Stevie heard this album, Tonto's Expanding Headband, which was produced by Robert Margouleff and Malcolm Cecil. I want to say they're English guys. And the sounds that emanated from this album reflected a lot of what Stevie heard in his mind and in his dreams. And he basically employed them as co-producers to produce what would be known as Stevie's golden era, classic era albums, from Music of My Mind to Talking Book, Fulfilling This, and Inner Visions. And I think they did do some overseeing on Songs in the Key of Life as well. There is some engineering work there.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, Stevie definitely wanted to move forward and take things on by himself. And they had this studio, which was an all modular synth, bunch of synthesizers put together. If you look at the artwork for Brian Jackson and Gil Scott-Heron's, one of their albums, let me look that up real quick. They're actually sitting inside of Tonto. They're sitting in the studio. It's the one with all those crazy looking synthesizers and keyboards with the plugs and the cables.
Yes. Is that it's not Winter in America.
No. It's not Winter. So it's a later one. I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now. But yeah, so they also worked with the stair steps, the 5 stair steps, known as the stair steps in the 70s. They worked on the Isley Brothers. They did the album with Fight the Power and Sensuality. What? Yes. So when you can actually hear a correlation. Like if you listen to think about For the Love of You, the synth line, that do 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 do, that's Stevie. You hear that on Stevie records.
Totally.
You hear the sound. You hear that. So they were able to bring the best out of Stevie and push him to perform. Like they're the ones that got him enraged on Living for the City. You know, they basically pushed him, and they were able to bring out the best. But it was like a kid in the candy store being in that studio, in that environment, being able to come up with all these sounds that till this day cannot be copied because of that unique synthesizer setup that they had.
Right.
It was custom.
Right. I was gonna say it has like a patent, so to speak, unofficial patent on that whole sound.
Yes.